Welcome, dear friends. And it's good to see some old friends back again. And it's nice to see you, Marie. Thank you. My name is Judy Pickett, and I'm on the Board of Trustees, and today I'm your worship associate. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a white woman of average height and above average weight, with salt and pepper hair, blue eyes, and navy blue today. We want to acknowledge that we were on the lands of the Tocobago and Seminole peoples. We're a church of many welcomes, and we offer a warm welcome to all of you. This is a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. To learn more about our events, our church calendar is on our website, uutarpon.org, or you get it in Connections. And we'd be happy to talk about all this with the coffee hour. For those present in the building, we have connection cards available in the pews. They look like this. And if you're new to us and would like to stay connected, get our newsletter, and be part of our family, please fill that out and put it in the offering. We also, what'd you say, George? Mic is not on. Is that better? I gotta eat it? Oh, crap. Sorry. What? This is a liberal community for all ages. Also in the pew holder in front of you is a small card. If you have a joy or concern or a sorrow that you want to share with the congregation but don't want to come up and speak on the mic, write it down, put it in the offering basket, and I will read it for you. Otherwise, you can come up on your own. We'll start our service with our first hymn in the Teal Book, number 1017, Building a New Way.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Hate and greed is our seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Hi, I'm Kathy Hopkins. My pronouns are she, her. I'm an older white woman of medium height and medium weight with brown-gray hair tucked behind my ears. I also welcome you here today, and I want to expand that welcome into an invitation to participate in our covenant groups, which is a new approach or another approach to spiritual growth, going beyond Sunday services and what you can read or study on your own. We'll be discussing a small group ministry program called Covenant Groups or Chalice Circles that's pretty widespread across UU congregations. So I'm curious of the people here, how many of you have participated in a covenant group or a chalice circle either at this church or somewhere else? Wow, great. And I think from the hands, are all of you here, or is there someone that's attended one at another UU church besides Tarpon? Oh, okay. Mark and Marie, where did you guys do chalice groups? Fairfax, Virginia. Interesting, okay. And I see Charlie and Barbara have done it at other churches as well as here. Okay, so some familiarity with it. All right, well today I'll explain how they work, and then you'll hear from some others who will share their experiences to give you some sense of what happens, because it really is something special. So now we will sing hymn number, oh, we just sang hymn number 2, Building a New Way. All right, thank you.
Alex, would you like to come up? Alex Millen is going to light our chalice today. He's been practicing. Go. His mom is out of town and his grandparents are staying with him, so they brought him to church. Got it. Thank you, Alex. Hey, Alex, you want to read the words for the chalice lighting? No? Okay. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also, to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together. And now we will be singing Spirit of Life, number 1, 2, 3 in the Great Book.
Our story today is I Have a Little Problem, Said the Bear, by Heinz Janisch, illustrated by Silke Leffler. I hope I have those names right. Oh, is that better? Okay. How's that? Okay. I have a little problem, said the bear. You see, of course, said the inventor. I know exactly what you need. A heavy bear like you needs something to make him feel lighter. I have just the thing." He got a pair of wings from his workshop and fastened them to the bear's shoulders. Said the bear. Then he shrugged and went along, looking worried. "I have a little problem," said the bear. "You see." "Indeed I do," said the tailor. "Your wings are very handsome, but you need a scarf." And he wound a long scarf around the bear's neck. Said the bear. Then he shrugged and went along, looking worried. "I have a little problem," said the bear. "I'm just the man you're looking for," said the hatter. "Now don't say a word. I have just the thing for you." And he placed a fine hat on the bear's head. Said the bear. Then he shrugged and went along, looking worried. "I have a little problem," said the bear. "I can tell that just by looking at you," said the doctor. "My special vitamins will have you fit as a fiddle in no time." He handed the bear a box of vitamins. "Take one every morning." Said the bear. Then he shrugged and went along, looking worried. "I have a little," said the bear. "Problem," said the street vendor, "but I have the cure. This little charm will bring you good luck wherever you go." And he hung a silver pig on a chain around the bear's neck. Said the bear. Then he shrugged and went along, looking worried. "I have said the bear. "Well, I can see you have a problem," said the eye doctor. "That's why I'm here." She placed a pair of glasses on the bear's nose. "Now, isn't that better?" Said the bear. Then he shrugged and went along, looking worried. "I have," said the bear. "A little problem," said the shopkeeper. "Well, never you worry, my dear. This honey will sweeten up your life in no time." And she handed the bear a jar of honey. Said the bear. Then he shrugged and went along, looking worried. "I," said the bear. "You have a problem," said the shoemaker. "You need boots." She pulled a pair of boots from a box. "A real bear needs real bear boots," she said. "And these are the best bear boots I have, a perfect fit." Said the bear. Then he shrugged and went along, looking worried. At the top of a hill, the bear stopped. He looked back over the town and shook his head. He was worn out. The bear unfastened his wings. He took off his hat and scarf. He took off his glasses and the pig on a chain. He kicked off his boots. He set his vitamins and honey on the ground. Then he sat down on the hill and sighed. "What's the matter?" asked a fly on a blade of grass beside him. "I don't want to talk about it," said the bear. "No one listens to me anyway." "I'm listening," said the fly. "Tell me about it." "I have a little problem," said the bear. "You see, I'm afraid of the dark alone in my cave. There are no other bears for miles around, and I don't know anyone who wants to sleep in my cave with me. I dread the darkness all day long." "That really is a problem," said the fly, "but I have a solution. It just so happens that I am looking for somewhere to live. A bear's cave sounds very cozy. I could move in with you. What do you say?" Said the bear. "I feel better already." So the fly hopped onto the bear's shoulder, where she made herself comfortable. Then off they went together, looking happy.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Our UU community and its work runs on the generosity of our congregations. Please join us in giving so that we may continue to have a church that fortifies and challenges us in these trying times. In response to the wildfires in Hawaii, we have been taking a special collection until today, September 24th, to support the emergency needs. So far, we've raised over, I think it's $1,700. And I will be sending them a check. We'll be writing the check this week. You can make checks payable to UUCTS with a memo of Maui, put them in the collections, mail them to Reed Street, donate online at uutarpon.org, and then mark Give the Plate Maui. Please give as generously as you can. May you give in love and hope.
The song that the choir will be singing right now is actually in your teal hymn book. It's the very first one, number 1000. And I don't believe we've ever sung it before, so if you would like to look at it as the choir sings, maybe we'll sing it again in the future as a hymn.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey
Good job.
I'd like you now to invite you now for a moment of silence. You may close and be as you are, as with us, in your head, in your heart.
Our reading today is from The Different Drum, Community Making and Peace. Dr. M. Scott Peck was a psychiatrist, author of The Road Less Traveled, and founder of the Foundation for Community Encouragement. He shared widely in his belief that if we are to prevent civilization destroying itself, we must urgently rebuild community on all levels, local, national, and international, and that the first step is to spiritual survival. His work aimed to teach how communities work on the principles of tolerance and love, and how we can start to transform society into a true community. Peck states the overall purpose of human communication is, or should be, reconciliation. It should ultimately serve to lower and remove the walls of misunderstanding which unduly separate us human beings one from another. Although we have developed the technology to make communication more efficient and to bring people closer together, we have failed to use it to build a true global community. Regarding community, he defines it as a group of individuals who have learned how to communicate honestly with each other, whose relationships go deeper than their masks of composure, and who have developed some significant commitment to rejoice together, mourn together, and to delight in each other, make others' conditions our own. He goes on to compare a community to a precious gem when he states, a group becomes a community in somewhat the same way that a stone becomes a gem, through a process of cutting and polishing. Once cut and polished, it is something beautiful. But to describe its beauty, the best we can do is describe its facets. Community, like a gem, is multifaceted, each facet a mere aspect of the whole that defies description. This is the time of year we traditionally usher in new programs for the church season, September through May. Reverend Kristina introduced us to covenant groups the first year she was here in 2020. We're now entering our fourth season of covenant groups. I've participated in the last 2 seasons, and I look forward to doing so again this year. So what are covenant groups? A covenant group makes connections with others in a safe place where you can explore deeper meaning. Those of us who took part in the last season will tell you this small group ministry enabled us to grow personally and spiritually. You'll hear from some of the covenant group participants shortly in this service. What can you expect in a covenant group? Once a month, for approximately 8 months, you'll gather for about 2 hours. At the outset of your group, you will agree on a set of practices, a covenant that will guide all your gatherings. In the most recent covenant group, our covenant included these. Speak from your own experience, use I statements. Listen deeply and respectfully with an open mind and a heart, and respect confidentiality. What's said in the group stays in the group. Each month, the gathering follows the theme the minister has chosen for the congregation, so it's a chance to integrate and deepen understanding. Last season, we explored themes such as belonging, wonder, and courage. The flow of the gatherings is a unique feature of Covenant Group. The monthly theme is introduced, then expanded by a series of thought-provoking quotes and from a variety of sources. And on the theme of courage, here are some examples of the quotes. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen, by Brene Brown. The opposite for courage is not cowardice, it's conformity. Even a dead fish can go with the flow. Jim Hightower. Following time for quiet reflection, the group enters into a round of conversation where one person speaks at a time, uninterrupted, with no comments. Then the next person goes on in the same manner, and so forth, until everyone's had a chance to speak. There's never a demand that anyone does speak, just an opportunity. Next, the group enters into open crosstalk. Speaking respectfully, group members now can comment at will. The entire process is carried out once more, this time following a set of questions chosen to deepen the understanding and the conversation. Here are some examples. Where do you turn for inspiration when you want to feel more courageous? How is courage connected to your spiritual life and community? Of course, we have a chalice lighting to begin and end the marking of our time together as a spiritual community. I realize that describing the formula won't give you a full sense of the richness of the experience any more than telling you that water is 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen will quench your thirst. So let's invite Judy to our conversation. Judy was a first-time participant this past season.
Hello, Kathy.
Hi, Judy.
How are you?
Great.
Good.
So I got some questions for you.
Okay.
So you typically jump into everything this church has to offer, but you let 2 or 3 years pass by before you joined Covenant Group. What was your hesitation, and how did it feel to take that step?
You got it. I did, and I usually still do jump in with both feet very readily. This church has a lot to offer me, and I feel I have some things to offer them. I joined the writers group. I joined Journey Stories. I joined Elaine's poetry group. They were a little, they're similar to the Covenant group. They were less structured, but required the same rules of confidentiality, respect, and active listening. And yes, I didn't participate in Covenant groups, probably because I thought they were like quasi-therapy groups. which I didn't want to be a part of. I'm more inclined to put my time and talent into more operational aspects of the church, not the spiritual. However, last year I decided to join after Reverend Kristina explained more in deeply what the covenant groups were, and I thought, well, what have I got to lose? 2 hours a week for 8 months? Okay.
Was it what you expected or hoped it would be, and did you have any surprises?
Yes, and yes. That's it. No. When I went to my first meeting, I felt a bit uncomfortable, which is unusual for me. I had no idea who would be in my group. But when I looked around the table and saw faces of friends, I breathed a little bit easier. Those friendships grew deeper as the months went on. I was surprised at how structured and scripted it was, but that allowed me to go with the flow, with no questions. I enjoyed focusing on a single topic each month and learned a lot about myself and others. Greg was a great facilitator, and he did a great job. Thanks, Greg. That's it.
So would you do it again?
In a heartbeat.
All right.
What I need and want is something that takes me out of my left brain where I live most of the time. It's hard to get to know someone well with small talk around the coffee hour, but I look forward to forming deeper relationships with some of you this year. And that's all I wrote.
Thanks, Judy.
You're welcome.
And now, yes, we did have men in the group, so we will hear from the men in the group. None of them, the three of them, all had reasons to think they might not be able to make it here today, so we pre-recorded their comments back in August. So while Greg is getting the video prepared to share with us, Greg is actually the first person to speak on the video, and he's followed by Joe Weinstein and then Brian Heath, and they will just tell us what their experiences were in covenant group. It always takes a moment to switch things back and forth. It's not on the TV yet. Ah, here it comes. We have a very old TV, so if anybody wants to donate a newer TV, we'll be glad to accept it. All right.
Good morning. My name is Greg Rosowsko. I use the pronouns he and him. I consider myself fortunate to have been able to co-facilitate a covenant group for the last 3 years. It's a privilege to be able to engage in deep conversations about subjects of real significance to my life with people that I have come to admire and care about. Facilitation, just like participation, does require a level of commitment in terms of opening your heart and mind to those in the group. I think the facilitator should take the lead on that commitment, demonstrating it by honesty and openness from the very first. This helps set the tone for all, not only those who are totally new to the covenant groups, but also for those who are experiencing a newly constituted group for the first time. My experience is that this commitment is almost universally reciprocated by the group, and in very short order. It is more than pleasantly surprised. I have been more than pleasantly surprised at how readily people engage with each other. Meetings are marked by genuine interest and respect for the sharing of others, and I perceive a general willingness to share deeply held experiences and feelings. Of course, any member of the group can choose not to commit at any time or comment at any time. It is also important to know that the discussion in the group is reserved for the group It is not to be shared outside the group. One reason for the quality of the covenant group experience is the nature of the topics we are considering, namely the monthly theme for our worship and sermon presentations. For example, let me talk about courage, our opening topic for the new group in October. Surely this is a meaningful and perhaps challenging topic for personal sharing. As I prepared for the meeting, I was puzzled as to why this was our religious theme for the month. Perhaps more importantly, I realized that courage is not one of my self-perceived personal characteristics. To be honest, I was a bit confused and somewhat uncomfortable going into the session. So I shared this with the group during my check-in. The acceptance and respect with which my sharing was received rapidly dispelled my personal discomfort and helped the meeting move on to a rich experience. I consider the check-in to be a very important phase of the meeting. All other elements are full of intuition pumps, often by means of a story or an explanatory paragraph, and thought-provoking quotes or questions. Here, in the check-in, we're encouraged to share how we are doing or how we are feeling right now as we enter this part of our day, the covenant group meeting. We are asked to share what we might be experiencing personally that could be relevant to how our responses develop during the meeting. As the group dynamics develop and deepen, the sharing can be very important, perhaps salutary. This past year, I found the group very helpful and supportive when I shared that I had recently learned of my brother's serious downward health spiral and dementia diagnosis. I would venture that everyone in the group had one or more such personally helpful experiences during the past year. From my perspective, the first and primary benefit from participation in a covenant group is the meaningful, supportive friendships developed from the experience. Covenant group participation has greatly enhanced my sense of UUCTS as a community and deepened my commitment to that community. Beyond this, and of real significance, the topics deepen my understanding of our Unitarian Universalist faith at this time in the 21st century. Consider the themes of change, finding our center, and love, which we were among those we explored together this year. These are clearly very, very relevant to the major developments we are witnessing in terms of our restatement of principles and purposes for our non-creedal faith. When we explore together, we learn so much from the diversity of the experiences and viewpoints of each member. Such sharing brings richer understanding and helps create a stronger resolve to grow spiritually and helps build solidarity. I hope to have the opportunity to share with you again this year, and I look forward to it very much. Thanks for your attention.
Good morning. My name is Joe Weinstein, pronouns he and him. 30-year approximately UU. For years, when it came to the covenant groups, I think while I was in Tampa and in Clearwater, they were active, but I was so busy with my professional life and relationships and whatever that I shied away from joining a covenant group. But then 3 years ago, I guess during COVID, it's like I have plenty of time. So I jumped in, and each year has been a really great experience. And when I thought, what could I say that would be maybe different than I said before about why I enjoy the covenant group process? The Christian hymn, with which I was unfamiliar with until I left my previous fundamentalist religion, the hymn, "Let Us Break Bread Together." And I looked it up because to me, of course, it's very Christian and so on, but the concept of being on your knees and praise and communion, that's what the connection that I feel. Like, you think of all the opportunities you have to really get to know people, like your neighbors. How many hours do you spend a month getting to know your neighbor? even in the congregation, we have coffee hour. We're talking to several people. How much can we really get to know them? But when you join groups, and there are similar groups in UU, with the Covenant group, you get to spend 2 hours with the same group of people, a handful of people, once a month for many months, and you really feel like you get to know the people. You're breaking bread together, you're communing, and it really does require humility to really be able to express your heart and sometimes expose things about your life. And that's why the commitment we make that what happens in the Covenant group stays in the Covenant group is important. And then I feel like as time goes on and you get to know more people in the congregation on a deeper level, then when things happen in your life or in congregation life and things get a little tough, and maybe you'd question, why is that person doing that, and so on. Well, when you feel you really know the person, and it really, really helps for peace and for love to grow in the congregation. So those are some of the things that I feel I've benefited from Covenant group participation. And I look forward to making the commitment and enjoying it in years to come.
Well, good morning. Good morning, all. My name is Brian Heath, and I use the pronouns he and him. And it's good to be with you this morning, even though I'm with you in Cyberland here. I happen to be up in Michigan this summer, and will not be back join you in person until later this fall. But I wanted to share some feelings and thoughts I have about the Covenant group with you. I've been in Covenant groups twice in the short time that I've been in the church. I've found both of them to be a very rewarding experience. My first experience in Covenant groups was online on Zoom, and that had a few little glitches here and there, but nothing too major. Experience. The second experience this past year was predominantly in person, and I also found that to be very helpful to me and growth and my spiritual journey. One of the things I just like to mention, as Greg and Joe have mentioned before, it's important to realize that I have found that the folks that I've been in group with to be very humble and I've trusted their confidentiality of what I have said in the group, and I have also had that experience on the other side where stays in that group has been my experience. So without going too deep, I just would encourage anyone who has an interest in getting to know your fellow folks in the church to consider joining the groups. 2 hours once a month is not very long, and yet it is satisfactory amount of time, I think. That's all for me. Once again, it's good speaking with you, and I hope that you will consider joining the Covenant groups when they are available next. Thank you.
All right. I'll give a moment for them to switch back. Okay, so just a few words about my own experience in Covenant group. One thing I hadn't expected that I really appreciated was the structure. And the structure somehow took away some of the stress of being in a group. And another thing it did is it helped me become a better listener. I felt I was really listened to when it was my time to speak, but I also learned to hold my thoughts and listen better when someone else was speaking, but yet I still had an opportunity during crosstalk to share my thoughts. So that was a good learning experience for me that I had not expected in covenant groups. Another thing, I grew up a preacher's kid, and I realized in the covenant group, when we came to topics such as faith and worship, those all had been defined in my childhood. And so in covenant group, I had an opportunity to like sort of hit the reset button, to rethink, how do I make those terms relevant to me now with my current beliefs and maturity? So it's like hitting the refresh button on your faith. All right, so now that you've learned a little bit about covenant groups, I hope you'll consider joining one. Consider this your invitation to join. If you think you might be interested, but you want to kind of dip your toes in the water to see what it's like, Reverend Kristina will be available on Zoom this week, Tuesday, September 26th at 6 p.m. for a little sample, and she can answer your questions. If you're already sold and you know you want to just jump right in, there's a link in the Connections newsletter. You can just go in there and put your information, and Reverend Kristina will get that and know to include you as we go ahead with the planning based on everybody's schedules and everything and how many they'll form the groups. Please let us know by October 7th if you're interested so we can get you into this season. You don't need to be a member of the church to participate. All are welcome. So consider yourself invited. We'll now sing hymn number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Lonely Place. In a holy place, I'm sorry, a holy place. Not a lonely place. And it's in the Teal book.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, and our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell stories of deep wisdom, and we listen with a loving heart, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we
words are by the Reverend Johanna Fontaine Crawford, a minister at Live Oak UU Church in Austin, Texas. A covenant group is like a gym for the soul, GYM this time. As a participant, you get to exercise what it means to be human, to use a phrase from UU luminary James Luther Adams. Your mini community models mutual respect as members practice deeply listening to one another. Your spirit becomes stronger as you stretch to accommodate new ideas, as you wrestle with your own conclusions, and as you learn how to compassionately hold space for another member to process their own experiences. Join or form a covenant group. Your life will be better. You will be better.
In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times.
Thank you very much.
We hope you have found meaning in today's service. It's been an exploration for everyone, and hopefully some of you will join us this year. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. It went out already. I guess all our singing blew it out.